I'm Ginny Just.
And I'm Beth Soboloff, and we're
Two Grannies on the Road. Welcome back to Two Grannies on the Road. We're very excited this week because we now have our logo on the Granny-mobile. So if you see us riding around town, be sure to give us a doot.
We also have a YouTube channel finally, so we'll be posting all of the shows there, as well as some footage from our travels that we haven't been able to fit into the show. I would give you the link to the YouTube channel, except it's a bunch of numbers and letters. So if you go to youtube.com and do a search for Two Grannies on the Road, you'll find us. And we also have a link to our YouTube channel on our website, TwoGranniesOnTheRoad.com.
Today we have Vicky Messier with us. Vicky is an Air Force veteran and lives in Woonsocket, Rhode Island. She has one son who is engaged. Vicky, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Vicki, tell us a little bit about your career. Up until a few years ago, you've had quite a career, so I'd like to know about that.
My career has always been in administration and organization. The foundation of all of my administration comes from my Air Force experience. I joined the military right out of high school. Really wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, and it didn't seem like college was the right move for me. And as it turned out, the military was the exact right thing for me to do. That's where I learned how to be an administrator in an office. I was enlisted sergeant, chief clerk orderly room, and any of your military watchers are going to know what that entails. And it allowed me to go on ahead and take those skills and transition into the civilian world and start to build an administrative career. It allowed me to walk into any kind of an office, whether it was architecture or finance, whether it was advertising or engineering, it wouldn't matter. My ability to do administrative work and organizational work propelled me throughout the past 30 plus years in the civilian world. And that has been my stock in trade, and I absolutely loved it. Great adventure for me. I met wonderful people. Most of the people who were my supervisors could have been teachers in another life. Mm-hmm. And when you have people like that mentoring you along the way as you grow professionally, there's just nothing like it. So I've been very fortunate and very blessed.
That's great.
You recently made a big change in your career. Tell us about that.
Well, after 30 plus years doing administrative work, it just got to be where I wasn't as excited about it as I should have been. And I thought to myself, if I'm going to keep on doing this and not being excited, not only am I cheating myself, but I'm also cheating the people I work with and the people I work for. So I thought to myself, I could think outside the box. And then I thought, well, wouldn't it be better if I just thought that there wasn't a box? And that has allowed me to absolutely take my life, both personally and professionally, and completely turn it upside down and inside out. And I'm having the time of my life.
All right. That's good. Now, you spent a lot of time in Florida. You were born up north. You went back to Florida, and then you came back to New England, and I understand that the weather in Florida had something to do with that. Tell us about that.
My first time I went to Florida to live was in 1990, and I stayed in Florida for quite some time. In 2004, Florida experienced a hurricane season that is perhaps seen only once every 100 years. And I had the opportunity to be in Hurricanes Charlie, Francis, Ivan, and Jean. Wow. All four hurricanes. And that'll change your perspective on what is important in life in half a heartbeat. I wound up going back to Utica, New York, where I'm originally from. I stayed up there for about 3 years, and then I actually returned to Florida and loved it. I lived in a wonderful place. I lived in Martin County, the Palm City, Stewart area. And as a matter of fact, Stewart, Florida was just voted by Coastal Living as the best seaside town to live in.
Nice.
I came from a beautiful place with equally beautiful people. I absolutely loved my time down there, but I have one child, and he wound up being in Rhode Island. And he wound up meeting a wonderful young lady. They're engaged, and this is where they're going to make their life. This is where they're going to have their family. So Grandma didn't want to be 1,600 miles away and only showing up for holidays.
Yeah.
This future grandma wants to be just where she needs to be
Yes.
when the grandchildren come. So that's what brought me up here, and it gave me the opportunity to say, all right, what do I want to do with myself now? I spent some time doing administrative work up here so that I could transition into Rhode Island, and then different opportunities started to come my way, and through networking, through the National Association of Professional Women, and I'm very proud to say that I am now the new vice president of the Providence, Rhode Island chapter.
Wow.
Good.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I met some incredible women, and one of them is a woman who is an independent consultant for Arbonne. And I started using the products, fell in love with the products. It's an idea that allows me to build a business for myself on my own terms. The company meets me where I am in my life and allows me to grow my business through working with other women who are empowering one another and helping one another, training one another, and encouraging one another. It has been an absolutely beautiful experience, and I couldn't be happier or prouder to be in this organization.
You're very upbeat about all of this and about your move, but what you told me was you lost everything in those hurricanes. You've gone through quite a bit. You've risen above all of these struggles, and you've really overcome them.
I have, and I think to myself, how was I able to do that? How am I able to keep the rose-colored glasses on in the face of hurricanes? I mean, how does somebody do that? And it's priorities. It's what's really important. And if we go back to the hurricane, if I go back to that day when I walked into my apartment, and I lived on the second floor of a 2-story building, and as I'm driving towards the building, there's no roof. So I already know it's going to be bad. And when I walk in there, you know, dishes and glasses are broken on the floor, black mold is everywhere. I'm thinking I can't salvage anything. And I go to that little closet on an interior wall where I had stored some things. And I open up the closet, and there are my plastic bins, untouched, and everything is just as it should be. The lock of hair from my son's first haircut, the bracelet I wore in the hospital when he was born, the very first Mother's Day card he ever made for me, his little baby shoes.
Wow.
The things that were really important were there. And everything else, I could go to the mall and replace it.
Yeah.
And that is perspective. To know what's real, to know what's important, and to be able to look at a situation that other people would say is an absolute tragedy and say, all right, I have what I need to move forward in my life, and this is the way that I'm going to do it. And so I did.
That's great.
You're also a personal coach. What made you take that line of work?
I have basically been coaching people my entire adult life and just didn't realize that that's what I was doing. I'm the person you call at 4 o'clock in the morning, and not just for bail money.
I've never done that. No.
But I'm that person. When you want somebody to talk to and you want that person to listen to you, not necessarily give you advice, but you just want someone who's going to listen to you, because everybody's got an opinion and everybody's got advice. I'm the person. I've been that way with family, and I've been that way with friends my whole life. People have recognized that in me, and I finally recognized it in myself and decided that, you know what, this would be a good thing for me to do. So I took a course and got a certification through Coach Training Alliance, and I'm a certified coach, and I decided that my niche would be as a life coach. Because when I look at people, I don't look at them. There's a professional piece and a personal piece, and the divorced person and the person who's grief-stricken, who's overcoming something. I think we diminish ourselves when we start to parse and pick ourselves apart. So my approach is to look at people as a whole human being, because wherever you go, you take all of yourself with you.
That's true.
And
Nicely
so
put.
I've started my own coaching practice, Inner Visions Life Coaching, currently developing the website, but do have a Facebook page where people can log on every day and like the page, and you will see something positive 5 days a week. I post something positive, either something original, or there's so much good stuff out there. There really is, and I'm a collector. So I collect and I post so that people can have something bright and happy, and some days even a little funny, to get themselves started on their day.
Good.
That's great. Who is your target audience for your coaching?
The target audience for my coaching is women veterans. I realized that when I came out of the military, I had a little difficulty transitioning into the civilian world, and there were some missteps and some hiccups, and it was really, I think, harder than it needed to be. If I had had somebody to help me to go from the military to the civilian world, to help me build that bridge, to allow me to transition, I think it would have been easier for me. And those are the people that I want to work with, especially now that so many of our women veterans, and women veterans is a chronically underserved market. So many of our women veterans are now combat veterans.
Right.
So when the military and the Veterans Administration is done with counseling and therapy and says you're ready to fly, there's still that gap. There's still that bridge between the military and the civilian world. And I would like to be there to help them build their bridge.
That's great.
And how does the Arbonne business fit in with that?
The Arbonne business is something that has been a wonderful transition for me. And what I see is that for some women veterans, Arbonne, in fact, might be a good vehicle to help them transition. The pure botanical products are what so many people need right now. So there is a positive right there for them to use them as a client. There's also a great opportunity for these women to build their own business and to really start a life that they are in control of and that they want to live. And because Arbonne can meet people where they are and allow them to grow and blossom, it just seems like that is something I can additionally offer my clients if it's the right fit for them.
Fits very well. Now, you transitioned from office work to life coaching. That's not a small thing. What were the challenges that you faced in reinventing yourself?
Just taking the first step. I think that's the hardest thing, not only for me, I think, but for anybody that's looking to reinvent themselves. Is there anything more daunting than taking the first step? Is there anything more daunting than looking at a blank page and realizing you have to write something, especially when it's the story of your own life? It's easy and comfortable to reread the other chapters. And
Yeah.
it's daunting to go on ahead and start to write a different story. And so it's just the idea that I can. I believe in myself. I trust myself. And for me, I keep my circle positive. I have positive, caring, loving people in my life. And I try to be a positive, caring, loving person in other people's lives. And I think that's a really big part of it. That's the foundation of it. Once I realized I had all that going on, then it was like, okay, here I go. I'm ready.
You have a lot less fear of taking the first step.
It is. There really is a lot of fear. And just to be able to have the support system that ultimately led me to have great faith in myself, the kind of faith I needed to overcome the fear, that was a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing when I stop and think about it.
Well done.
Well, it's time for the Two Grannies road trip. Since Vicky lives in Woonsocket, we decided that a trip to Rhode Island was in order. So here's just a taste of what we discovered there. Hi, we're here with Michelle and Colin from, what is the name of this? The Wayland Square Diner. We just had lunch here and it was so yummy. So how long have you owned this restaurant?
We've had it for 6 years,
Okay.
and it's done very well. It's a very tight-knit community, and so being able to have the curbside seating like that, in the season and as well as the inside, it's worked well for the area.
Are you open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
We
or
just do breakfast and lunch at this point. We've considered going into a dinner environment, but at this point, we need space, as you can see.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, that's the struggles with having a diner. But it's been here since 1957, and we'd just like to keep the tradition going.
Great, great. Oh, 57, 1957, take note of that.
Yep, 1957.
We have breakfast all day.
Oh, do you? That's another thing to note.
That's a big hit because, a lot of people enjoy having breakfast later in the day.
Right.
Whether it's a lifestyle or whether it's a job,
Yeah.
knowing that that's available.
Yeah.
And they come in the morning and order lunch. We have everything ready to go.
And everything's homemade.
We,
Every day.
We're
Wow.
99% scratch kitchen. We cook all our onions, mushrooms, peppers, tomatoes, bacon. We cook all our home fries from scratch here. So it's a lot of work.
Vicky, what do you think are the biggest challenges that baby boomers in general face today in the business world?
Oh, wow. That's a huge question. And I'm glad you said challenges, plural. So many people of my age group have wonderful, wonderful skills.
That's right.
And some of them don't have all of the skills that are required in a 21st century business world. So to baby boomers who are having a tough time, I'd say call the community college that is closest to you and find out what's going on. There are classes that they can take that would be reasonably priced to help them get the additional skills they need to be competitive in the modern world. I'd also encourage people in my age group to do what I did. Take a look. Take a look at yourself. Make that list of the things you do well and say, you know what? It translates into something I never thought of. And the next thing you know, you're an Arbonne independent consultant with a virtual global storefront, and you're a certified life coach gathering other people in the business world to help you create workshops for women combat veterans.
Just like that.
Just like, stop and think. And again, it's not about thinking outside the box. It's really about recognizing that there is no box. Once you do that, the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is. So I would encourage those two things most of all to my fellow baby boomers.
I'm
Good
glad you mentioned about the community colleges, because I don't know what it is in Rhode Island, but I know in Massachusetts that people over a certain age, I can't remember what the age is, I'm long past it, but
Because she is the older granny.
but people can take classes for nothing, as long as there's a seat available.
That is fabulous information.
Yeah, it is.
So
It's
no
well
matter
worth
what
noting.
state people are in and they're watching this, they need to contact their local community college and see what's available.
Right.
Because there's something there.
Yeah.
There is something there for everybody.
For
Those-
sure. That's great.
Oh, am I next?
You're next.
Okay, if someone is feeling stuck with their life and their career and wants to reinvent themselves, how would they go about doing that?
There's a variety of things that people can do. Two that we just mentioned. And a third would be to find a coach. Coaching is very personal, and it is about a co-creative relationship. So when looking for a coach, since it's such a personal thing that you're going to be doing, it's important to get the right coach, the person that you feel comfortable with. Tom Landry, a Hall of Fame football coach for the Dallas Cowboys, once said this about being a coach. A coach is a person who gets you to do what you don't want to do so that you can be who you want to be.
Wow.
That's well said.
And I just think that's one of the best things I've ever heard about coaching. So I encourage people, if you're stuck, if you're looking to get clarity for where you are so that you can move forward with your life on a path of your own choosing, I highly recommend that you start doing the research to find the coach who's right for you. Coaching is in a non-judgmental space, and unlike counseling or therapy, a coach will not tell you what to do. A coach listens and asks powerful questions to help the clients stretch and grow and excavate their own inner wisdom so that they can make an action plan that works for them. And as a coach, I can hold your hand or I can hold you accountable, whatever it is that you need me to do. So for people that are stuck, I recommend looking into coaching and finding the coach that's right for you.
Great.
Excellent. Now, technology can be a challenge for baby boomers, and some don't want to embrace it at all, and some do. And you mentioned going to a community college so that you can get updated on, I think that's part of it, getting updated on the technology. How have you personally handled using technology in your business? You didn't grow up with it the way the kids do now. So you and I didn't. So what do you do?
I have been very fortunate in that when I started out in the administrative world, I had a manual typewriter on my desk. And then one day I walked into my office and I had an electric typewriter on my desk and an operator's manual. And then one day, really, and then one day I walked into my office and there was a word processor on my desk with an operator's manual. And then one day I walked into my office and there was a computer on my desk and no operator's manual.
What?
And I made it my business to make sure that the folks in the IT department were my best friends. And everywhere I go, the folks in the IT department are my best friends.
Sound advice.
So I have seen this wonderful transition happen, and all the computer programs, when they started out as Lotus and WordPerfect and then Wang word processing, then we finally got to Word, and I remember when Excel spreadsheets couldn't hardly do anything, and now they do everything. So I've been fortunate that I've had on-the-job training on all of these things. To baby boomers that haven't had this kind of training, who may be a little put off about a group environment, even going to a classroom, God bless YouTube. Because there isn't anything you can't learn on YouTube.
It's
What-
true.
Whether you want to dance, whether you want to learn a computer program, whether you want to learn how to play a musical instrument, it simply doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Go to YouTube and figure it out in the privacy of your own home.
great idea.
Well, we've come to the end of our time today. I hope everybody has enjoyed listening. I certainly have. I've learned a lot, and it was really, really fun. Thank you so much for coming, Vicki.
Thank you both so much for having me. This was a blast.
Oh, we had fun, trust me. If you are a baby boomer or you know someone who is and they have reinvented themselves, we would really like to talk to them to tell their story. You can contact us at TwoGranniesOnTheRoad.com.
What are your goals and dreams?
We want to encourage you to think outside the box.
Step out of your comfort zone and take action to achieve those dreams.
Thanks for tuning in today, and be sure to watch the next episode of
Two Grannies on the Road.